Conscious Creators Community is a group of healers, coaches, and other facilitators who are both individually and collectively working towards a better future for all. We do this by helping people facilitate positive change in their lives and their business. So today we're here to talk about what does it mean to be a conscious creator? And so to start with, as a proper host, I'm going to go last every time. So to start with, I'm going to work around my screen. And so I'm going to ask, what is a conscious creator to you? And sorry to pick on whoever comes first, but Jennifer, you're first on my screen. Oh, you're muted, Jennifer. Sorry, I know it's one of those ones.
Apologize. Can you all hear me now?
Yes, we can. Brilliant.
Wonderful. So a conscious creator to me is, number one, just being conscious of the fact that we can create any situation that we want. We can change any situation we want. And being a conscious creator isn't just about business. It's about every area of your life, creating the situation that you find works out best for you. And consciously understanding that you have the power to change things on your own. So that's what it means to me. My
Brilliant. I love the way you sum that up. That is awesome. Yeah, so really good. And so Joey, you're next. And some of these answers are probably going to be similar, I know, but just say what comes, anything, doesn't have to have been said before.
Oh, you're on mute, Joey.
I did the same thing. To piggyback on what Jen said, yeah, first and foremost, it means for me being conscious of the fact that we are creators, right? Like that's the first step, is understanding that your life really is 100% influenced by you. And conscious creating to me means creating from a place of presence. So that's a place of the least habitual tendency and the most possibility, in a nutshell. And consciously creating as business is, for me, I decided a couple of years ago that I wasn't going to do anything that wasn't in service to the greater good. So everything I sell, everything I talk about, everything I do is with the intention of raising the collective. So
brilliant. Yeah, raising the collective consciousness, just in case anybody watching doesn't know. So just found out that anyone that has their camera off isn't appearing on Facebook, so just so you know. Okay, thank you, Joey, that was awesome. And Sandra, you're next.
Yeah. Well, I can agree with both the ladies who went before me. Yeah, conscious creation for me is that you are aware that you're creating the things in your life, and when you take responsibility for those creations and be aware of them, and that goes for business as well. If you get aware of that you are responsible for your creation, and you can surrender to dropping into a certain flow, it will also take you automatically towards the goals that you've set. And by awareness of it, I mean, like, you set a goal and you might meet someone that can help you reach that goal quicker if you have the awareness to pick that up. If you don't have that, then it will take you longer. So yeah,
sure, absolutely. Yeah, well said. And right, I noticed that my order is completely different to Facebook, so this is going to be a surprise for everyone, because I think that we're all in different orders when how we see each other. So Anastasia, you're next on my screen.
Okay, what does it mean to be a conscious creator? For me, is becoming aware that we're creating all the time, that we come here to create, and we're doing it even before we arrive here. And by here, I mean this life. And by becoming conscious, we're taking charge of the intentions behind it. We're taking charge of what we're creating. It's not just happening unconsciously. It's something that we're aware is happening. And part of that creation for me is actually creating, is participating in life. That is actually part of our creation, even though we may have forgotten it. We more than likely have forgotten it when we enter this world.
Yeah, absolutely. Very deep meaning there, and I like that a lot. And yeah, participating in life, I really like that. So, right, I'm going to move over to Agni.
Right. So it seems like we are talking about the same thing already. So yeah, conscious creation is the awareness that we create our own reality. And at some point, the realization that we have been doing that, but unconsciously. So we have been programmed to create certain life by structures and society standards, and making a decision to change those programs, change that default setting, and create by will. And as well, taking that responsibility for what you create and how you impact the collective, because we create our experience in life, but just as well, we impact the collective. And that's, I mean, realizing that power is a huge thing.
I'm muted now. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really important. And so, Aurelia, you're next on my screen. What does it mean to be a conscious creator, in case you missed the question?
Hello, everybody. So I've been really aware recently of how authentic I am in my expression. And we would want to not be vulnerable or really straightforward in a lot of cases. And it really feels to me that more than getting a result or more than being in a certain way, if I can choose to be authentic, then it feels to me that I'm releasing all my power of creation. It's like I am not stopping myself by putting brakes on who I am and on my energy. And if I don't do that, if I'm really just raw, authentic, if I'm just in my energy and expressing it, I feel like this is where it gets the biggest ripple effect. And even if it seems like destruction at the moment, like it would still be a positive, something positive in the long run. So I feel that if we can be conscious at every second, am I authentic? Am I really expressing who I really am and not what I would like to be? If we can come back to this place, I feel like this is where the creation potential is like limitless. So this is my take on it.
Wow, I like it. Yeah, there's some very original and very true, felt true to me statements there. So, oh, we've got more people joining. So that's good. We're still going through the first question. So next on my screen is Joey. Did Joey start? I've done Joey. So people have moved around on my screen. Sorry about this. So Anna, you're next. And then I will try and see if Brenda's here.
So this is an interesting question for me, because as an artist, artists create all the time. But creating does not really mean that you are doing it consciously. And that came to me a few years back when I realized that everything I was making was infused with my intention. So to be consciously creating means that you are aware of the intention that you're creating with. And that means how you feel, how you think. So for me, a conscious creator is someone who understands and is aware of the intention behind the creation. And like Joey, when you do it, not just for your own good, but for the good of everyone else, then that's a wonderful way of creating. And that's what I try to do. Yeah, just being very have an understanding of the intention behind what you do is what it means to me to be a conscious creator.
Love that, actually. Yeah, I really do. I think intentions are a huge part of life, and more important sometimes than the results of the actions themselves. And so let's go around. So Brenda, you are here. Great to see you. And would you like to tell us what your what is a conscious creator to you?
Sure. A conscious creator is being aware of the thoughts and feelings that you're manifesting your own reality, and an awareness that we're responsible, as people have said, for what we want to do and think and be in the world. And we could really change the world by being of service. So that's what I want to do, be of service and make the place better, 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 and always be aware that we have superpowers to manifest. And we get what we want. When we think bad thoughts, we get them, and we don't realize. Just shift your thinking and your feeling. And I'm hoping we could enlighten people with that idea, and they could do much more wonderful things in their lives.
Absolutely, and that is a really good intention to try and help people enlighten themselves and enlighten each other in the same way we're doing now. Jessica, I know you've just joined us. Are you okay to go on the microphone and answer this question? So what is a conscious creator to you?
Hi.
So first of all,
Hello,
hi,
everybody.
Jessica.
Sorry, I'm a little bit late.
That's fine. So it's great to have you here.
So what is a conscious creator to me? First and foremost, a conscious creator is someone who has an open heart and is generating love. And everything is created connected to an open heart that's generating love. And that's just my very deep intuitive feeling about it. And a conscious creator is very authentic. And because you're creating with your authenticity, which is connected to that higher self version of you, it has to be conscious. You can't be just recreating from old patterns that are subconscious. So that's how I feel about it.
Brilliant. No, really good. Yeah, and I love what you added there, open heart. And so thank you for sharing that. I'm going to share mine, and actually, yeah, I've got a little bit of everything from everybody, more or less. So, I mean, first of all, I think like it's learning how to do what's right by yourself and your environment. That's including everything in our environment. So the global collective, as some people said, it's having an open heart and open mind, like Jessica just said, and it's becoming aware of your thoughts, your words, actions, emotions, expectations, desires, all those things that happen, and in there are intentions as well, and then making them work for you. And it's breaking the habit of the old self and reinventing the new self, i.e. creating your new self. So that's kind of what it is to me. So there's a good crowd here. So just going to quickly look at some of the comments because I accidentally didn't have them on the screen. So Venus said, for me, the term of conscious creator is for someone who takes responsibility for his or her life fully, completely, and deliberately. So that's a nice one as well. Definitely. I love that. Thank you. You've always got plenty of wisdom, Chevy, and I think I'll be talking to you very soon. Yeah, so Jen loved your comment, Agni, and Joey's comment as well. And Jen has said awareness plus intention for a unifying purpose. Yes, so that's very true. Hey, Gabrielle from Ecuador, I'm sure you've got something to add here. Feel free to jump on if you want. I put you in the chat earlier. And then Joel from Portugal. He's put, we'll be engaging with some other time. This is so good, Matt. So this will be recorded and left on my profile. So thank you everyone that came. So let's just see. So I'll open this up. So what got you into conscious creation? Where did you first learn about being conscious? And so everybody's moved on my screen. And so Anna, you're now first. And so, sorry, I can't be consistent because my memory is not that strong that I can remember who was involved.
Hey, keeping us on our toes is a good thing. So when did I first become conscious of what I was creating?
Become aware of consciousness and start to become a conscious creator.
I can pinpoint it to a very specific event and artwork. This was about 8 or 10 years ago. I did a self-portrait, almost life-size self-portrait, where what I painted actually became true and almost destroyed my entire life. So that meant that I went into the dark night of the soul, and I had all kinds of things happening to me, and I was miserable and became very conscious of the fact that I was not living authentically. And my natural creative force was telling me that by manifesting this art piece in my life and showing me what I was actually doing, what happened. Artwork is super powerful because it has intention in it.
Yes, yeah, and it's again visualizing as well. So you're visualizing that thing. You can really, can't imagine. I always try now to draw my vision boards rather than just stick things on them, because it's actually putting pen to paper and actually getting out of the subconscious onto paper of how you're going to be. So next on my list is Jennifer. So how do you become aware, Jennifer, sorry, of being conscious and becoming a conscious creator?
Fully aware, excuse me, fully aware it took time, but from the time I was a child, I always noticed that I felt this excitement, this flutter in me whenever I made something. Whenever I'd get the idea to make something or create something, a little art project or anything, that my mind was only on that and not on anything else. And I would feel this, I guess, like a flow of positive energy inside of me, and I liked it. And then I was very young when I moved out on my own. I wanted to create my own life and live it the way I wanted to. And I did that. I was 17. And before I got into the wellness field, I did hair for many years. So through doing hair, there's a lot of creation in that as well. But it also taught me a lot about people. And I learned very quickly from observation that the people that took action got better results in their life. And it was because they were being conscious creators. They were consciously making a change. I would see people that would come in and they'd have a problem. They wouldn't do anything about it. And then a month later, they would still have the same problem. But the people that took action and that were aware of that innate power that we all have within us to change things and utilized it, got beautiful results. And then as I started studying hypnotherapy, I became much more conscious of what was unconscious, and then I've been going deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole ever since.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, that's great to have awakened to it so young, and to have all those the observation of those things happening around you. So Sander, you're next on my list. So when did you first notice and become aware of consciousness and conscious creation?
I think I'd been aware of being that when I was a child, but I had to rediscover it as an adult. So that makes sense. And it all, for me, it came when I started to pay more attention to myself and having more awareness of myself and my surroundings, that the conscious creation, or me creating things in the world, or creating situations in the world, or things would appear, that I lost my train of thought. That in the moments that I became more aware of myself and more aware of the world, that this flow of being also started to, or being in a flow of being again, like a child. The conscious creating of things also started to have an uptake. So yeah.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, awesome. So I think I can relate a little bit to the awareness, and then it's sort of fading away as well. So Anastasia, you're next.
I've had a number of aha moments. I can't really say that there was one that was better than the rest. I do remember far back when I was a child, when I was at school, I used to say things like nothing is impossible. I don't even know where that came from. I used to come out with things, and I was aware of things before I even knew how, and the workings, which I learned much later. So I think it came in layers of understanding, came at different times, different decades in my life.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I like that. Actually, you've reminded me of things I used to say and think when I was younger. And I think that layers thing is really important. So I'm going to keep going, and then we can talk more about it. So Agni.
Yeah, so I think I realized that I am creating my reality quite a while back, but I wasn't happy with what I was creating, and I didn't know how to change it. And I was like searching for myself, searching for my purpose for a good decade. And about 3 years ago only, I experienced that spiritual awakening. That was accelerated process that opened up for me so much. And the beautiful synchronicity started flowing. I'm like, I realized how every single situation is guiding me towards my purpose. And every experience, whether good or bad, the way it felt was necessary and was important. So I just had gratitude for everything, and just really cleared a lot of subconscious clutter to be able to create, from inner power. So that was my journey. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of clearing and things like that. And yeah, that's definitely something that I've been going through as well. So Aurelia, you're next on the list.
I would like to share 4 layers of creation that I've noticed in myself. So just in relation to what Anna said about the intention, I noticed when I was about 4 or 5 years old that I would like to sew, for instance, and I would pick scraps from my mother's fabric, and I would always choose the most beautiful ones. Or if I would do necklaces, I would pick the most beautiful pearls. And then I remember this. I was like, oh, I'm really doing that systematically because I want to create the most beautiful things that I can for what I'm having. So I became aware of this importance of being surrounded by beautiful things and creating beautiful things. So like on the material level, very early. And what I've noticed later is that when I would like to have something that I'm not having, like an object or something, either I would imagine it and it would manifest, or I would lie my friends about it, saying I'm already having it because I wanted to be the cool kid. And like I would get it on my Christmas, on my birthday or for Christmas, like exactly the same thing I was lying about. And then I was like, oh God, like I can make things happen. And then recently, like this last year, I realized something. So it's another level of creation where, when sometimes you imagine the future, you imagine that something will happen or a conversation and it unfolds exactly how it is in your mind. I just noticed that I can alter that. So for instance, if I have this idea that I will be on my working session and the postman will knock on my door because he has to deliver something, I would just think, oh, that's inconvenient. I actually will change that in my mind and I will imagine them coming after my session. I'm like, it works too. I'm like, okay, good. And now, like at the beginning of this year, I had different experiences where somebody posted on Facebook, oh, what do you want for like this year? And I realized, oh, I want trips. I want to travel. It's been 2 years I didn't go on any trips. And I was feeling like, okay, I'm setting an intention, which is very vague. Travel. I'm not having any precise imagination about a place or something. And I was bold. I said, I want 4 trips. Like, I don't know how, like, I don't know if I've done 4 trips in 1 year. 2 days later, I swear to you. And I'm saying that to encourage you to dream big this year. I feel like if you dare to do that, things will go extremely easily for everybody. So 2 days later, I'm contacted by a friend, which I didn't see for 10 years. And she says, listen, we have a group of Lithuanian teachers that have to go to France and you're speaking French. Would you like to go there with them for 1 week to translate? So it will be a working trip, but we'll pay everything and we will get you a little salary. I'm like, yeah, I will do that. And so it was a matter of 2 days. So I feel like it's like a different level when you dare to imagine something big. You do not know how, you don't have a clear vision, but you just trust it and it just manifests. And I feel like this year things will manifest very fast. So yeah, I encourage you all to do that.
Brilliant, and thank you for the prediction for everybody here and the kind, good words of advice. Yeah, so that's awesome. Yeah, dream big this year, especially, but always if you can. So Joey, you're next on my list, my screen. This is the wrong one.
Unmute myself. Okay, so when did I become conscious of my consciousness? Was that the original?
Conscious of conscious of consciousness and conscious creation.
Okay. I think I started to notice it, like observe outside myself, how thoughts created reality in about 91. And that was, I think, initiated by the death of my father, who, I was very young. I was like 19. And then somebody gave me the book Care of the Soul. And so I started pondering the soul and consciousness and life without soul and life with soul and all that came with that book. And so I started seeing it. I started studying it and seeing it outwardly. So I believe I became on a path of consciousness in about 19. But I think 2017, so however many years ago that is, I think I fully became conscious that not only was I creating my reality, but that I could change and alter it, and that I could reprogram the subconscious part of it. When I discovered that being part of a conscious creator is having the ability to put closure to that which you already created. Because I feel like my whole life I was creating, I was aware of it. I would think things, they would happen, but it was like piling up creations. And it wasn't until I started the journey on trying to simplify and make my life present and specific to what was going on now in an integrated way. I think that's what really expanded my consciousness, is when I realized that we consciously can end things as much as we can create them. And then it gave full power of creation by giving also the power of destruction. So I think 5 years ago.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think that is a really
5 years ago.
That's a really crucial thing, actually, is that we can close experiences. Okay, and so I think Brenda's going to have to leave us. I'm not sure. Brenda, did you want to add before you go? I know you've got 15 minutes. So
yeah, I guess I was always looking for something. I don't know how conscious I was in retrospect, but in 2008, I was very negative and repeating the same pattern and same illness. And through a friend, I met a shaman, and that's taken my life on a whole different course, and I love it. So I've been more and more an awakening and understanding more about manifesting and creating and intention. And I did that course, Power of Intention, with Lynn McTaggart. So just opening up to a whole bunch of wonderful people, like all the people here. And it's just amazing. It's kind of what I've been looking for forever. So it's just life changing, and I'm looking forward to what I can manifest in 2023. This apartment that I'm here, I wanted since 2012, and I saw it in a vision, and from me in another dimension. So that was a healing session that I did, and I wanted what she had. She had this apartment, great friends, and all this wonderful stuff. And so I've been wanting to bring that, and I finally moved around a few different places, and I finally am here, and it's amazing what you can manifest. So I'm just looking forward to what 2023 can bring, and what we can all create together, and what we can all learn from each other, and expand on, and help others. So it's wonderful.
Brilliant. Yeah, thank you. And that's awesome. And it's an honor to know and be part of your friends as well. So it's really good to have connected with you. Jessica, it's nice to see you back. I've muted you. Sorry, I hope you don't mind. Oh, you're still muted. I can mute you, but I can't unmute you, unfortunately.
Hi, sorry about that. Hi. So, gosh, conscious creation. And when did I get into conscious creation? I feel it's like my journey on the whole into consciousness and awareness of spiritualities is very long and very on and off, if I'm going to be quite frank. But what I would say is that more exclusively, since I had a very, very profound awakening experience in, I think it was like the end of 2015, around winter solstice, which is a time where there's so much light. My heart just became so open up to like the highest levels of light at that point, that I had to start clearing away my shadow, that I had to start healing my inner child, that I had to start clearing what was blocking consciousness. In a way, like sometimes consciousness is just arises out of removing what is not, that is preventing it. So like a bowl, right, that has room to be filled. So, and that was, that's quite profound. I also feel that learning to work with Akashic records specifically was quite powerful for me in terms of understanding the dynamics of what you're working with in your spiritual soup of, like, past influences from even past lives, and energies that you can tap into of higher consciousness and bring in to generate new directions, new timelines, new futures. So, and sometimes those are very intense sessions if you're energetically very powerful. And sometimes it takes months to even years for the full realization of how you've switched into a bit of a new conscious direction, because of working kind of, you could say, architecting with your blueprint, like at a very sort of multidimensional higher level. And so sometimes higher, when you're talking about working with higher dimensions, that is kind of also, in my perspective, a form of conscious creation.
Yes.
So that's my little summary.
Love it. Yeah, really good. Thank you so much. And so, as always, I'll go last. So, I think I was already conscious creating in my teens. Now, I don't remember doing it in my childhood, but I always managed to manifest great times, great things, safe passage, all these other things through conscious thought, through thinking things through working out how they were going to happen and all those things. But I think I wasn't really conscious that I was doing it. I was consciously doing it, but I wasn't conscious of what it was I was doing. I had a belief in the universe. What I actually became aware of first was in my late teens, just going into 20s, of unconscious creation, how humanity was unconsciously creating the world the way it is, through understanding how many predictions had been made and how so much energy had been put behind predictions, and now suddenly those predictions were starting to come true. And to me, the messages I was getting, even though I didn't know what spirituality was or any of those things, were that it was the energy behind the predictions, not the predictions, that were right. It was the fact that so many people believed the predictions that they became true. So they were all unconsciously creating this future where people even I was thinking specifically like Nostradamus and his predictions. Now, if you know his story, he was actually a positive predictor until his wife died of the plague, and he'd saved so many people from the plague, but he couldn't save his wife and kids. And then because he got so depressed and suddenly made all these horrible predictions, and then because he had a good reputation, everybody believed him. And for thousands of years, people believed him and spread his stories, and suddenly like all that stuff supposedly come true, although you could take it with a pinch of salt. But that's not the message that I really got behind it. Consciously creating for me actually only started, I know I've always been doing it. I said to my wife, do you want to have a baby? And 3 weeks later she was pregnant, you know. At the time I was really loved up, although I did kind of think I had time. But this is the thing about conscious creation from my perspective, is we don't say when it's going to happen, we just keep working towards it, that I'm aware of. But really, it's only been in the last 2 years, so nearly 3 years now, coming 2020 into 2023. And it's really just sat with me. It makes perfect sense. And I am embracing it daily and watching my thoughts, my words, and my actions, and trying to remain as authentic as possible without trying to say I'm here, there, or anywhere. This is just me right here and now. And so, I mean, open it up. So we've had quite a consistent amount of viewers, but no comments, loads of loves and hearts and likes though, as we've all been talking. That's great. So anybody watching, feel free to share what your opinion is on this, what your view or experience is. Has this happened for you yet, or would you like it to happen for you? You know, have you noticed these things, these synchronicities, where you've been really set your heart and your mind to something and you've seen it come to fruition and start to happen for you? We'd love to hear about those things in the comments if you do, and even after the event, if you're watching the recording, please feel free to share. I will respond to you, and we'll let you know of any future meetings that we do, so you can join us. So also, I mean, now I can open this up. Let's try and get the mics off, not be so rigid and things. Benefits, you know, can anybody talk about how their life has changed and how they feel now, or any way that it's changed things for them? Anybody?
Yeah, sure.
Hey, there we go. Brilliant.
What has changed since that I became aware of my own creation, or consciously creating stuff and things and manifesting, is if things do not go as you expected, it's easier to have faith and trust that things will work out eventually. And that's difficult for people surrounding me to see that, or to have the similar view as I have, that if I put my intention on something, that things will turn out.
Nice.
That makes sense.
Yeah, sure. And things turning out well for you at the moment, and things going forward, and life's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Anyone else?
I heard a
Oh,
cat
sorry.
meowing. I think Jessica's cat also had something to say about it because she is unmuted.
Yeah. I think Jessica's cat wanted to talk first, actually, but it hasn't. So, anybody else got anything to say? If you have unmute.
Matt, could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah. So, any benefits you've noticed and how your life's changed, really? You know, so from understanding conscious creation and things like that.
Yeah, I'll answer that. Benefits. The benefits have been that I realized that I'm actually in control of how my life turns out. And it's the consequences is that it requires a tremendous amount of responsibility, self-responsibility. So that's kind of a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
I am in control of my creations, and I have to be really conscious about what I create. And that's, you know, because it doesn't affect just myself, it affects everything, because everything is energy. And intention is an energy, and it affects everything around me and everybody around me. So that's the conundrum sometimes in being a conscious creator.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a bit of a conundrum, but as you work on it, I think responsibility is a beautiful thing once we embrace it. I mean, being responsible for our own life. So Anastasia, looking forward to hearing from you in the jungle.
Yeah, I stuck my trees. I can definitely resonate with Anna's sense of control, that once you know that you can manipulate energy, you've got the power. You just can do whatever, you know, whatever you want to do. And that not only gives me a sense of control, but a sense of security, joy, and most importantly for me, peace. I feel peace because I know that everything's fine and I can change everything and anything. If I'm creating it, I can change it.
I love that. Yeah, peace, definitely peace. Really, absolutely. And yeah, if we're creating it, we can change it. Like Joey said about how we can end the experiences as well as create them. So we can end our creations. Really, really important. So anyone else? Agni, you've unmuted. Oh,
yeah. I was like thinking that when you realize that you're creating your own reality, you can then live your life fully. Stop being a victim of, you know, experiences of other people affecting you. Take responsibility. And I don't see responsibility as a negative, more like empowering. Whether positive or negative experiences you have, it's on you. And then you are empowered and can create whatever you want to create.
yeah, I completely agree with you actually on the responsibility thing. I shunned responsibility for most of my life because I saw people being stressed by their responsibilities. But actually that was throwing my life into complete chaos. And that was part of the reason that things, as soon as I took hold of it, didn't just change my life and get rid of the chaos. It fulfilled me. It made me feel great inside. It gave me like peace, as Anastasia said. So Aurelia.
I wanted to add that I don't like self-blame or feeling of responsibility. I like to look at my creations, or things I cannot create actually, and to really take as an information of what is inside me. So for instance, if I'm saying I will do this and I notice that I didn't do that, so for me, I still created that. So it means that there's another energy in me who is creating but not doing. And so I can just look and see, okay, so I was not aware that this energy was here. that now I am aware, and either I let it just be and it will express, or I can change it. Actually, I can look inside and change it. And so I feel that this feedback, like I look more in the creation as a feedback, and especially on the moments when it goes wrong, kind of. It's like, oh, okay, so like the consciousness is not just I'm creating consciously, but also the creation expands my consciousness because it's information about myself. And also, I want to say something that I'm really angry about is that people, when they are understanding that we are creating our external circumstances, they would self-blame themselves all the time, and they would say, okay, so this person treated me bad, what am I doing wrong, what I didn't understand? I'm like, well, this is unfair, because if you're creating all the time, do you notice that out of your 18 hours awake, like 17 hours were great, and you didn't say, oh, so what is good about me, what energies are unblocked, and you would only see this 1 hour that went wrong, and you just then think that you're so unevolved. Like, this is not fair. So I feel like people should be aware that they're always creating all the time, and be happy about the creations that are beautiful.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I love that, actually, and such a good point is that you can have a 17 hours of the day where everything's great. It's a pretty long day, but and then 1 hour where 1 hour where it's not so great, and forget those whole 17 hours. Absolutely. So, Joey, did you want to say something?
Yes, and I might, my phone I think is possibly going to die, so if I disappear, that's why. It was something that you said that made me unmute. Maybe back to the responsibility thing. So I always saw responsibility as like other people getting stressed from their responsibilities too, and so also shunned it. And I realized that there was like a slight nuance. It wasn't really responsibility. Like, responsibility is so freeing, right? Because it just puts everything on you, right? So you don't have to worry about other people. You don't have to worry about the storyline. You don't have to worry about it's like so simplifying when you become accountable and responsible for your creations. But I think people get confused and they switch up the idea of responsibility and obligation.
Mm.
And I think because those two words are maybe close, you can talk to Jen in the subconscious as definitions. Because they're close, we tend to overlap them or have a negative feeling of responsibility. So can you still hear me? Because my screen is black now.
Yes, we can.
Okay, cool. But so obligation to me is a feeling of like hopelessness. It's like you've committed to something and you have no choice to change it. You know, it's like chaining yourself to something. And when I realized that obligation even is still a choice, it was so freeing. So first I like battled against responsibility, and then that became easier. And then I battled against obligation, and I realized that obligation is just a choice. Everything is just a choice. And we always have the choice to change our mind. You know, there's consequences to changing your mind to things that you've committed to. But when you realize you always have a choice and you accept the accountability of those choices, it's like what I feel the benefit of is peace. Like, it's just peace, because there's nothing to fight against anymore.
Yeah,
in that way.
Yeah, and I think you actually, I'm glad you like obligations, like a really one of those words that's brought me awareness of something. Is you definitely have a choice. I would use the word obligations when it was things I didn't really want to do. Yeah, before I was consciously creating, when I was creating a business, for example, just because I needed an income based on the skills I already had and what I'd done in the past, I wasn't really enjoying it as much as I was making out to myself, and I was obviously, these are my obligations today on and so I felt obliged to do the things, but I wasn't really enjoying them, and it definitely was burning me out and wearing me out for sure. So anyone else got anything to add on that? I know Brenda's off. Yeah, Anna.
Yeah, that what you just said really resonated with me. Yeah, about obligations. I realized at one point that I could actually enjoy performing obligations when I shifted my perspective on it. When I realized that, like Joy said, that it was my choice to either do it or not do it. So when you do that, when you realize that it's a choice, then performing that obligation becomes more joyful because it's yours. It's not something somebody is imposing on you. It's a choice that you're making.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and there we go. The conscious creator making conscious choices to create the life that you desire and deserve as well. So has anybody else got anything to add? Jessica, I can see your hand moving towards the phone.
Okay. Yeah, it's conscious creation and the benefits is so I think it's multifaceted and complex depending on the level of intent, like depending on the intent within the conscious creation and how much of a co-creation what you're consciously creating is with God, right? Because there's a certain kind of conscious creation that does require a lot of faith and almost like an obedience to a higher power that does manifest miraculous things in its own kind of timeline, in its own ways, but it's not always directly linear. It doesn't mean it's not like responsible or still having that level of like action or intent, but there is a lot of, I guess there's a lot of gifts of spiritual growth that come from consciously creating with a little bit of lack of understanding and faith, if that's just based on what you're being guided to do, because your ultimate intention is to create in the highest good for yourself and all beings, always highest light, highest love, highest prosperity, highest truth. And the more I think that the huge benefit in that is that when you allow that to all happen, you get peace and you get more and more access to the vastness of consciousness. Like literally, you become more one with the cosmos. And if you literally become more one with the cosmos, the power of creation that amplifies in you, that in of itself as a blueprint is a huge blessing for, for creation.
Yeah, I love that actually. I love what you said there, that we're to create in the highest good for one and all, basically. And that's really beautiful. I like that. We're all here to create in the highest good for one and all. I think that's where many people get sidetracked. They either don't feel that connection or unity with everybody else, and so they're always trying to take something for themselves rather than create something for everyone, because they don't feel they connect. So I don't know if anyone else got anything else to share, but I'm going to actually share, like before, even though I wasn't aware of conscious creation, when I was much younger, I consciously chose to overcome depression. And so at 17 years old, I got offered antidepressants when I got told that I had a chemical imbalance and I was going to have to take antidepressants for the rest of my life because there's nothing they can do other than give me antidepressants. And I said, no. I said, what else can I do? And they said, you can learn CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. And I set my mind to it and I did it. And as I did it, I realized that my chemical imbalance was just caused by a lot of unhelpful thoughts. And I'd actually had these unhelpful thoughts nearly all of my life since childhood, because that's all I knew, that's all I'd seen, and that's all I'd been able to learn. And so I started replacing them. And by 22, by 20, so 3 years later, I was creating the life of my dreams. However, because it was unconscious, it probably wasn't some of the most healthiest, although the most fun decisions I've probably ever made in my life. That led me on to keep going. And then when I discovered conscious creation, I had the blessing of meeting all of you people and everybody else who's not made it today, and all of our other colleagues, friends, community members and connections. And it's just growing exponentially. And I'm connecting to more amazing people who have taken the power back of their own lives and are really harnessing their energy and the collective energy to create a better life. Okay, Aurelia, lovely to see you. Thank you for everything you put in. It's been really valuable. If anybody else has to go, feel free to go, but we'll go on a little bit longer than normal. We've still got people watching here, so that's good. So has anybody else got anything else to add on benefits or experiences from these things? So let's, so I'm going to quickly, there's a couple of comments here. So Jen has wrote, for her, conscious creation was a product of first learning how to get her physical brain and body in a more centered state. This approach was a bit backwards from other people's processes. Oh, comments coming up, so I can't see now. From other people's processes that I had read or heard about. But once I intentionally did the work to get myself neurophysically centered and then reconnected to my core values, my creativity started to surge. It'd always been there, but was probably blocked my conditioned state. Yeah, conditioned state, definitely, I can completely relate to that. So once free of that physiologically and by spending more time mentally in the present conscious moment, my direction and purpose became clearer. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, by removing the blocks, stripping the layers back, finding yourself, as many people as, you know, as Jessica made a very similar statement earlier, and clearing the way is what Jessica said, for you to actually see what you're here to do and what you want to do and what you feel drawn to do. So absolutely. And she also comments about responsibility is a gift and a choice. Obligation is a heavy weight that reflects believing you don't have a choice. And Maya's put the conscious creation, your choices to unravel the secret passages. Right, yeah, well, I think that's it. Some of us can see what's coming, but not all of us can. So I say that because I know people are more connected than others here. And thank you, Jeff. I love you too. So that's really kind of you to say. So really, if you were like me, maybe suffering from depression or anxiety, or even like I was in 2019 when before the pandemic hit, and the pandemic was the thing that actually led me to spirituality, because I was burning out in 2019, completely unoblivious to it. And then suddenly all businesses closed and we're all locked down, and I had homeschooling, and I was a local business marketer. So that meant I had no income. So that led me to spirituality. But people who are suffering from these things, what advice would you give to them to start this journey if they're not aware they already have the power to? Anybody? Go on. Yeah, Jennifer.
My solution to this is really simple. It's about goals. Like, first decide what it is that you want. Many people I talk to, they'd never set the goal. They wonder why they don't have what they want. And it's because you don't know what you want. You haven't decided first, this is what I want. So the first step to consciously creating is to set the goal of what it is you wish to create. The next step is, it's two parts. It's take the necessary steps in your mind, mentally manifest it, imagine yourself with it, engage your imagination, but also take physical action to make it happen. That's what I recommend. Just those three
Awesome.
things.
So I was smiling a bit there because literally, like, there's the Facebook is right behind, and as I asked the question, Jen came on and said, question for your guests, what do each of you consider as being the essential first step to becoming a conscious creator?
Oh my God.
I love the synchronicity
Awesome.
there, Jen.
Yeah, I like that.
We're answering your question. That was beautiful, Jennifer. So anybody else got anything else to add to that?
From my perspective, I think a lot of weight is on our belief system. So even if you know your goals and you want it so bad, and your beliefs, subconscious beliefs are against that, it will be a block. So becoming more aware of your thoughts, your emotions, and your beliefs is the main process in my understanding. So look within, notice your thoughts, observe, become aware, step out of your experience and watch yourself from the third perspective. And that is like the basics where you begin to really create whatever you want.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, actually. And that's something from my own experiences. Making sure you've got your own beliefs. Yeah, because it's so easy to adopt beliefs rather than actually create chosen beliefs and just go with the flow of what everyone else is doing. So yeah, absolutely. Beliefs is a very, very important thing. Anna, you want to say something?
Yeah, from my experience, and I don't consider myself a seasoned conscious creator because I'm still learning. I think one of the first steps for me is to be really radically compassionate with yourself, because that is related to the courage you have to just do something. You might have this dream, you might have an idea of something you want to make happen, but you might not know exactly how that's going to happen. So to just do it, to just take that step and make as big a mistake as you can, and then be super compassionate and self-loving. I think that's, for me, at least, that's what I need to do.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning how to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the things is that, you know, it isn't, it's not an over and done with kind of thing. It's like there's lots of layers to consciousness. There's always going to be new things you're going to find out as you try to do new things. You know, like every time for myself, I've always put myself out there and tried new things. And now I understand it. It's going a lot better because I put my energy behind it. I know I can do it. And before I'd always have doubt, can I, can't I? I'd always end up with the can I, but I'd waste all that energy on the journey up there. And, you know, but yeah, put yourself out there. So anyone else got anything to add to this? I'd love to hear anyone else's thoughts. So there's a few comments here. So Jeff said that it's so true what you said, Jennifer. People don't actually know what they want. They just want out of here. Yeah, absolutely. And I think I can relate to that for quite a long time, wanting out of here. But I've never been a quitter. I'm not sure 100% why. And so before I say that actually, before I got diagnosed with depression, I was labeled as an addict and I was sent to Cocaine Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous while I was in rehab. And it was a horrible experience, really. I just was like, I'm not going to be powerless for the rest of my life. I can't come and sit here and focus on the problem forever. You know, this is just not something I'm interested in doing. And even though Robbie Williams was there one day when I was there, so anyone from England might know who he is, but I don't know about in America. Robbie Williams was actually at the rehab and he got up on stage and everybody listened to him and they were all inspired by him. But it's almost like a celeb thing. Okay, Anna, lovely to see you. Thank you so much. We'll catch up with you soon. And we will be finishing soon, by the way. There's still a few people watching, so feel free to ask us anything if you've got anything before we go. But yeah, I actually lost my train of thought from talking about something else. But no, go on. Anyway, can't be that important. Probably wasn't relevant. Probably got off track. So I'm going to leave that one there. I was going to share a story, but I reckon that's for another time. So I'll probably do a whole show about that. So anyway, yeah, so get back on track. So a few people jumping off now anyway. Thank you for all the brilliant comments and everything. Any more advice on becoming a conscious creator? And my thought will probably come back to me. What can you do if you're, if you don't feel like you're conscious creating, or if you don't? So on that note, we've been here for an hour and 10 minutes. That's a little bit. Sander, did you have something to say? Sorry, I just saw the microphone there.
Yeah.
Go on, thank you.
That also ties in what Jennifer said, is with people, they want things, but do they really want it? But there's also, which I wanted to add to that, is you might want something, but you're not allowing yourself to have that due to how you were conditioned as a child or by your surroundings. So to be really also aware of, if you are setting out things that you want to create and do for the better good, but there is always a voice in your head saying, don't do it. Start examining that voice or those voices, because those are the ones that keep you from creating what you want to create in the world.
Yeah, so actually, thank you, because it relates to Jennifer's. I remembered what I was talking about now. So, so actually, yeah, what it was is it was about the comment about getting out of here and not knowing what you want and all those things. And so, really, because I didn't know I had the power to create the life I wanted at the age of 17, and I actually felt the opposite, and I felt so guilty and so shamed of the mistakes I'd made. I actually tried to kill myself when I was in rehab. And so I slipped my wrist. And that was one of the times where I actually probably became my first step to being a conscious creator, because as I saw a graphic description coming up, by the way, so if you're faint-hearted, just close your ears for a second, blood shooting up in the air and landing all over my trousers, I had an epiphany that this is my only one life, and that I would never be able to do another thing, make up for anything that I'd done, change my story, give somebody a hug, give somebody a kiss, or do any of those things ever again if I died in that moment. And luckily, because I was in rehab and it wasn't premeditated or any of those things, I was able to get stitches, and that's where they turned around and said, okay, you're not an addict. You have been, you've got chemical imbalance, and you're going to be depressed for the rest of your life. And I still, at that point, I knew I wasn't going to take that either. I didn't want to be in rehab. I didn't want to get out of here. And that's what the thing is. At the point I actually thought I wanted to get out was because I didn't think I had the power to do anything in my life. But we all have the power to create. We all have the same energy and the connection to the same energy. It's just, like Jessica said, clearing the way to make those things a possibility, and then going on a voyage of self-discovery and loving that voyage and loving learning more about yourself and taking the responsibility for your life and removing the obligations. I think, I don't feel that when you actually choose to do something, you feel obliged. You still have the choice because you chose to do it. So you could turn around and say, actually, I'm not going to do that now. It was a bad choice. But when you make commitments that were not so conscious, you do feel more obliged. You feel like there's no way out. So anyone else got anything else to add to that? Yeah, Jennifer, please do.
So I want to just be clear about something. I still, a lot of people seem concerned about, well, you can't just set a goal because the inner voice is going to stop you. But if you know that about yourself, then there's your goal. Your goal is to change your inner voice. That should be your first goal. And I still maintain the same 2 steps after, in your mind and physically take the necessary actions to create that change. And if you can't imagine yourself having something, what I usually tell people to do is think of a person that you feel has it all together. A person that you're comfortable with their choices and the turnout, the outcomes of their choices. And just ask yourself in your mind, what would this person do? And then just do that. If you keep doing this, the same thing all the time, it's not going to be different. Something has to change. So if you don't believe that you can come up with the idea on your own of, or the belief in yourself to see something through, ask yourself what someone that has it together would do and just do that. It's that simple. But always keep trying something else. It only doesn't work when you quit on yourself, whatever it is, whatever your goal is. You just have to show up and keep doing it and do it a little different each time. Don't keep doing what didn't work. If you do that, I can guarantee you'll get everything you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I really relate to that, because I think one of the things that I started to realize about myself is that I wasn't somebody that I admired. Yeah. And so, you know, I didn't have the habits really. I was a caring person, but I wasn't showing up as much as I wanted to in life. And so one of the things I did was like, who do I admire? You know, is it like, I used to be a I'm still a DJ, but I used to be a drum and bass DJ. Is it all these drum and bass DJs who make everybody dance all night and have a good time? Or is it people who are out there changing people's lives? You know, and it was like, you know, these people make my heart move. These people inspire me when I hear a story like that. So what do I want in life? Obviously, that's what I want in life, you know, is I want to see people and have the benefits in their life that I've had in mine. You know, so yeah, I really relate to that, and that's one of the things I say. Definitely, look for people you admire. Yeah, do you want to add to that, Jennifer, and then I'll jump on with Anna?
I do. I think it was Freud had a quote that said that like when we fall in love with another person, it's because we see our own potential in them. We recognize so when you think of the people that you admire, really that's the universe saying this is your potential. You might be cut out for this just as well, if not better than that person you admire. You know, it's if you admire someone doing something, that means that that's probably what you should be doing as well.
Love
Just
that.
wanted to
Yeah.
add that.
Yeah, I've never heard that quote before, and I like it a lot. Anna.
Yeah, that's quite true, Jennifer, because other people are mirrors for us. And if we pay attention, they will mirror to us who we truly are. What I wanted to say though was about what Matthew was talking about. You have to make a choice between, do I want to stay out and party all night? Is that going to make my life better? Or do I want to dedicate my life to others? I'm a big believer in the thought that the universe, the energy in the universe is always loving and always geared towards pleasure. We come into this world to experience joy and pleasure. The thing is, we have to figure out what that joy and pleasure is. Is it, you know, drinking a lot and having fun all night with your friends? Or is it something deeper? And Matt, I think that's what you figured out, that there is something deeper in the pleasure we come to experience in this life. It's not just for us, it's to participate in it. It's not to take it for us, but to participate in it. And it's a communal experience, not just a personal experience. A few years back, not that long ago, it was only 6 years ago, I decided to be really honest with myself and realize that I wasn't having any pleasure, no pleasure at all. I was just pretending to live a joyful life, but I had no joy in my life. So I did something crazy. I opened my marriage. I came out as polyamorous, and I decided pleasure is my birthright, and I'm going to experience it everywhere and anywhere and in any way that I can. So I had a whole year, maybe 2 years, of abandoning myself to pleasure. Most of it was sexual pleasure. And I'm glad I did it, because if I hadn't done it, I wouldn't have known the difference. And then I realized that that wasn't enough, that what I really wanted was connection with others, with myself and with others. And that's when my true spiritual journey began. And there's lots of twists and turns to that story, but that's what it's all about. It's about participating in the pleasure of the universe that is a connection with everything and everybody.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I can really relate to that, actually. So, I mean, good for you. 2 years of experiencing the pleasure. I went for about 15 years old to 35. So I did 20 years of excessively enjoying pleasure. But the thing was, I experienced it and I learned a lot about freedom from it. I learned a lot about what is freedom, and freedom is accepting your responsibility more than it is just floating about like a lunatic. And like you say, I mean, really, it wasn't fulfilling me. It wasn't pleasure. I mean, the fact that it was parties and there was lots of other things about and we were always drinking made it more pleasurable. But really, it was just learned behavior. Yeah, it was creating connection with the people I grew up with. Yeah, and then everywhere I moved, especially in the UK, because of my vibration, I now recognize that I would attract the same kind of people and instantly go into the same kind of groups. And so I just move around to the same things, like instantly. Like it would just walk, I'd change town, go to a new place for work, and boom, meet people exactly the same. And you know, it was fun, and I made massive connections, and I still don't forget all those people and every experience. Yet deep down, it was creating a hole inside of me, if I'm honest. It was creating a hole which I was continuously trying to fill. You know, I smoke a lot of weed. That was filling my hole. I used to drink a lot of alcohol. When my daughter was born, I limited that to about once a month, partying and going out with my friends, but I still did it, and I would still do it for a whole night and come back the next day or something like that. And yeah, it was still making a bigger and bigger and bigger hole, because all I wanted was connection, but I thought that's where the connection was. Yeah, but there was no real connection there. As I disconnected from that, not everybody, but a lot of people, as I changed my habits, and that's all I did. I didn't ever change my personality or my character. I changed my habits. But like, you're not the same person you used to be, you know. But I'm glad I did it, because now I'm here giving back to the greater good. I'm aware of my potential, and I'm here with all of you and everyone else, looking forward to a beautiful, harmonious future. And more than that, really seeing the good in the world right now. And I think that's one of the things, is that as you become more conscious, you become aware of how beautiful life still is, even with all the things going on, you know. And those things going on, those crazy wars, all these things, generally there's somebody with a massive trauma behind all of them, you know. Like, not to get too deep into war, but the Putin has major childhood trauma that he's not resolved, and he is trying to bring back the Soviet Union, and that's his dream. He remembers as a child the Soviet Union, where everybody was all, and he wants that back. He wants to be the biggest power in the world, and he doesn't want anyone else to do it. And that's because of childhood trauma, abandonment, and all these things. It's like, he doesn't know how to create connections. So if he feels in control of everybody, then, you know, then that's in his deluded mind. That's what he's doing. So anyway, sorry to get onto that topic, but yeah, I mean, yeah, pleasure. I think this is an interesting one. Some really interesting stuff came to me this week about the tree of life and the 12 fruits of the tree of life, and living excessively is one of the things that is supposedly, and this has brought me back to my mission, is because before I became a fully conscious creator, I was already focused on the greater good, but I wasn't focused on my own good. So I wanted to change the world. I wanted to change everybody. I wanted to wake people up to their emotional issues and the fact that we're using too much and all these things, but I wasn't looking after myself. And so I wasn't getting anywhere with it. And I had this epiphany over the last few, it came to me about 10 years ago, actually, was that we need a world where we can choose less, where we can have an awesome life full of pleasure and enjoyment, peace, love, happiness. But we can only do that if we choose less. This world provides more than enough for everybody that's alive, and more if we grow the population. The problem is mass producing and excessive living. When one person has enough money coming in every year to support more than one country, yeah, to provide for more than one country, how can we all survive? It's just not possible. And the world, the problem with our economy, the capitalist economy, is that it relies on us turning resources into money. Money has to be backed by something. So money, if we all choose to be abundant millionaires, then we're going to strip this planet, because, you know, that's why we need to be able to choose left. And that is a conscious decision that I've made in my life. And it's something I want to draw awareness to as well, is that people go, oh yeah, but services. Yeah, but the people who are paying for your services are still stripping the resources to pay for your services. Yeah, so it doesn't work that we can all be abundant to the billionaire point. In fact, we should all be able to live for 100 grand a year, have an awesome life, and change the infrastructure and reduce the cost of living for everyone. You know, that's my honest thoughts on that. So maybe I got a little bit sidetracked, but that's my conscious creation these days, and that's been going on for unconsciously for a long time. Now it's conscious. Anna.
Yeah. So one of the one thing that I've learned that really changed my life is the perspective that what we appreciate appreciates. And it's an interesting play on words, because appreciation means quite a few things. And one of the things that it means is to increase in value. So when you buy a house, it appreciates in value. But that is also true to anything in life. And it all comes down to seeing everything as a gift. And when you see everything as a gift, then you are in appreciation all the time. And there's an energetic relationship that happens. So when you receive a gift and when you give a gift, there's a reciprocity that happens there. And it is not, that gift is not a possession. It is something that's with you for a time and that moves on. So when you receive a gift, you must pass it on. So when somebody is kind to you, you are kind to others.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And you've led me on to something there. I just want to say is one of the things that about the gift is the gift of life. Yeah. I mean, to get too deep for people watching, but life is a gift. You know, we're having an amazing experience here. Whatever's going on, what are the chances of this actually happening? Of us all having this conversation on a big rock spinning around in space? We don't know, because we're here and we're actually experiencing it right now. So, you know, it's happened. So, but what are the chances of it happening? You know, when you look at souls and consciousness, we could be anywhere in this universe right now, but no, we got the chance to be a human having this experience. We're surrounded by beauty. Yeah, we're beautiful in ourselves. Yeah, we were already beautiful enough, and there was already an abundance available for us before we created the world on Mother Earth. You know, so I just want to say thank you for that. And just quickly before we go, Alex Rama has said, so lovely to see such beautiful people. He's now watching. So I know Sandra and Anna both know him, so they're waving to you. And Sandra's joined us. She was thinking of attending, but she had a call book. But I hope you get to see the recording, Sandra, anyway. And Jeff's still here. He definitely used drugs and sex to connect for a bit. Good for you. It was only a bit. Yeah, mine was a bit long. Yeah, I did use sex as well, but that's a whole other story as well. Traumas relating to sex and what sex means to you and all those things. Maybe we'll do one on that soon. So let's have a look. So a few people have had to drop off. Anybody else have you got any more to add? Sorry, Anna, before about the gift and the gifts. And I agree with you. I mean, that was one of the things is you actually, before you do, if you do, just want to remember, say to anyone out there that one of the things I always thought was that when somebody gives me a gift, or gives me something, I've got to pay it back to them. You know, always thought that you had to give back, yeah, to the person who gave to you, yeah, in appreciation. But I only learned in the last few years that when somebody gives you a gift, it's a gift and you should pass it on. Yeah. So I only learned that in the last few years myself. And it's a very important gift because if somebody gives you a gift, it is a gift. They had enough at the time to give you the gift. And then you need to give it on to somebody else who needs a gift right now. And whether that's your gift or a physical gift or whatever it is, you know, pass it on. When somebody gives you a gift, pass it on. So
Yeah, I just wanted to share that if you really want to deepen that experience of living in a gift economy, check out this book. Can anybody see it?
Can't see it, no. What's it called? The Gift Economy?
It's called Braiding Sweet Grass by Robin Wall Kimmerer.
Right.
It's beautiful. She's a botanist, so she's a scientist, but she's also a poet. So her writing is beautiful. And what she's talking about is not just woo, it's actually founded in science. And it's interesting because she had to figure out where to mesh the two, science and spirituality.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you led on to that. I won't go on, but I read an awesome book called The Hidden Secrets of Lost Civilizations, the Source Field Investigations. And everyone who knows me know I've talked about this book quite a lot. And there is all the scientific proof for the existence of source, for the existence of past lives, for the existence of the light body within our bodies, for the fact that matter can actually travel through time, how pyramids have healing energy. I mean, literally, I didn't know what it was when I picked it up at my friend's house, and it was that's a sign of manifestation, because I was a little bit skeptical about a year ago, maybe even a bit less, about certain things, trying to understand source. And there's this book, and this book has all of the scientific answers, which help my logical brain go, oh, now I understand. And wow, that all the light and energy in every cell of our body is the spirit within us. It is the soul within us, and we leave that as we go around. And it now understands why we get vibes from each other and all those things. So I'm going to ask one more time if anyone else has got anything to add. If Jessica, I can see you.
I just want to quickly close with a couple of things that hopefully will add richness to the conversation. Because people are talking about, like, you know, going out and like it's always involving drinking, and it's like there's always a level of sort of I don't know, maybe like shadowness to it. And I went out last night to an event for the first time in a long time. This event, they haven't been able to have it since before COVID started. It's been like 3 years. And it was there's been some other things that have been, you know, starting up since then, but I don't go out a lot. And it was a cacao dance where like people drink cacao and there's like sacred music, like and everybody's like just letting themselves be themselves and dance the way they want to dance and be open-hearted. And there was a beautiful little altar space at the middle. And sometimes we really need to have like places where we allow ourselves to come together in the physical like that, in ways that are, you know, with where everybody there is coming from the the energy of love. And sometimes we really need to kind of work with ourselves really deeply and go within ourselves to have major breakthroughs into that unshakable sense of knowing who we are and what we're creating, like you said, from within, right? So I think that's all valid and all important, and it's all good, you know? And so I just wanted to share that. And then also, the other thing I wanted to share is that I think the ultimate thing that animates us is the stars. And we're all made of stars. And the more we can, like I said, clear those blockages to that reality, that truth, which I'm sure one day will be very well understood scientifically. Not quite yet.
Yeah.
But there actually were doctors in the past. I found out reading a book. It was explaining, this guy knew a lot of history. He actually had a degree in theology, and there were some doctors who really believed that the health came from the animation of the body as a star. And those were more like the old school alternative doctors in Europe that got, laughed at and thrown out. And but I think it's really actually with the spiritual activations I'm starting to tap into at this time, with the new energies coming in, I actually am really feeling the beginning of that animation in my meditations in ways that are new and meaningful and profound, that provide a level of connection that's beyond even like our typical joy in human connection. It's bigger, it's bigger and different. And like I said, it's all valid. And so I just wanted to share all of that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I think I agree. I mean, one of the things it was just for me, it wasn't the social stuff, it was more the wrong social stuff, the wrong places to be, the wrong things to consume. Really, I mean, happily, consume natural things, not sugary, high acid content, alcohol, and large amounts of it for sure. And just to say that piece of evidence was like what tipped me over the edge to stop doubting. If I'm honest, it's not that I need any more scientific proof. It was just that I hadn't reached that stage yet. And as I wrote after that book, the amount of things that have come to me has been absolutely mind-blowing. So we have got a question, but Anna, I'm going to let you go first, and then we've got a question from the audience. So we've still got an audience here. So that's good. So Anna, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I really think that there is a place for excess in our lives. One of the books that started changing my life at around 19 was Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. I come from a very Catholic religious background, even though I left it a long time ago. It still stays with you, and there's a lot of shame and guilt around certain things that have to do with the body experience of life. And when I read Siddhartha, I realized, well, here's a guy who actually experienced it all. There was a period of time in his life where he threw himself into the pleasures of the flesh. And he learned something from it. So I think there is a time and a place for that, and it is important to experience that, and not get stuck in it. Life is about experiencing, and everything you experience is a positive. It's part of life. It's part of being human.
Yeah, I like that actually.
I don't regret my excesses. I'm glad I didn't die from them, but I think there is a place for it. And in old pagan religions, that yearly they would allow themselves to go into the excesses of the flesh, and I think it's fine. It's not a bad thing. Nothing to be ashamed of.
No, absolutely. I think you're right, though. We do all have to experience things to work out what's right for us. Now, I lived excessively in all areas, and I was under the impression that I was invincible. So I did things that most people thought were chemically impossible and was never changed. Just really had some crazy experiences and good times and everything. And recently had lots of blood tests and all these things, and all my organs and everything are fine, which is absolutely unbelievable for 20 years of excessive living. And so the proof is it's all up here, because I never believed that it was going to affect me. And I honestly there's some conscious creation for you, was like, hey, I'm invincible. And I was, so I'm still invincible today. So we've got a question from the audience. So Alex has asked, so he'd like to know everyone's view on acceptance. I believe it is the hardest lesson we all have to learn. So anybody got any points of view on acceptance? So I think it's quite broad about what you're accepting, but yeah, I think accepting new things, accepting things that we don't understand is often where the ego comes into play, because it's something new. Whenever we're going into new ground, the fear of the unknown comes up, and the ego's like, no, come back to safety. Look, that new thing you're about to accept, I don't understand it yet. So I think maybe that's my kind of view on accepting certain things. Accepting other people is actually a skill that I've honed my whole life, in accepting that we're all one, and that the stuff that I believed about what is beauty within a person, or how to look at a person, was all programmed into me by television, and I don't find anyone boring anymore. I love to hear everybody's story and every word, then everything, and even their little quirks. I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. I don't find things, so I can accept people, and I accept new things slowly, but I know that the doubt, the fear, the lack of acceptance is often my ego trying to keep me safe. So anybody else got anything to add on acceptance? Okay, we're accepting that acceptance is a broad subject, and that we're not very clear on what it would be. But on that note, I am going to have to end the meeting, because I have another meeting in 15 minutes. But it has been an absolute pleasure to be with you all today, and everybody who's left already. It has been a truly enlightening and uplifting conversation for me, and I think for everybody else watching. I hope so anyway. So I'm going to tell you two things now. This was Food for Thought, which is a show I do every week on my profile. And next week, I will be back with Jason Bishop, and we will be talking about his journey from near death back to the best life he's ever led. So that's going to be a really transformational experience. And as a collective, the Conscious Creators community will soon be meeting every week as well. And we will be discussing as many topics as we can. And I will share with you how you can contact us, so we can discuss the things that you want to hear about. Our main focus will be conscious creation, transformation, the mystery of life, and all the mysteries of the universe, and all those other things. So I will share more information about that on my profile. If you go to the event page, or you watch this video later, there will be a link to the Conscious Creators directory, which will be launching any day now. And that is where you can contact all of the people who are in the Conscious Creators community. And that's more people than we're here today. And they can help you move forward with your life in new ways, improve it, get clarity on things, clear energy, all of those things. So to sign up for that, if it's not actually live yet, the link will be in the description, probably by tomorrow, which is complete blank Tuesday, the 10th of January. So if it's after the 10th of January and you're watching this, check the description and the link will be there. Hopefully the directory will be up. So thank you again, everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here with you. I really look forward to the next event. So thank you, everybody on Facebook. Thanks for all your interaction. Thank you, and I'll see you all soon.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.